A single disaster can split a life into two parts, before it happened and after. A ship sinks, a job vanishes, someone you trusted turns away. The future you were quietly building collapses without asking your permission. In that moment, the question is not whether life is fair. The question is whether you can remain standing inside yourself when everything outside you begins to move. More than 2,000 years ago, a merchant named Zeno of Citium faced that question in the most literal way. His ship was wrecked, his cargo was lost, and the life he knew was gone. Yet, from that loss emerged a philosophy that would shape emperors, teachers, soldiers, prisoners, and ordinary people trying to live with steadiness in an unstable world. Zeno did not found Stoicism because he had discovered a way to avoid pain. He founded it because he had learned that a human being needs an inner foundation stronger than luck. By the end of this story, you will see why his philosophy began not in comfort, but in ruin, and how its central insight can change the way you meet uncertainty, criticism, disappointment, fear, and the daily pressure to control what was never yours to control. The ancient sources tell us that Zeno was born in Citium, on the island of Cyprus, probably around 334 years before the Common Era. Citium was a busy port city, shaped by trade and contact with many cultures. Zeno was likely of Phoenician background, and he seems to have entered the world of commerce early in life. He was not born into the image we now associate with philosophy. A man in a quiet room, detached from ordinary concerns. He knew risk. He knew exchange. He knew that a shipment could enrich you one season and disappear beneath the sea the next. Later, writers tell a story about his arrival in Athens. After a shipwreck, Zeno entered a bookshop and encountered writings about Socrates. He was struck by the character of the man described there, someone who could face poverty, ridicule, political danger, and death without surrendering his integrity. Zeno reportedly asked where he could find such a person. The bookseller pointed toward Crates, a philosopher associated with the Cynics, who happened to be nearby. Whether every detail of that scene is perfectly historical is impossible to know. Ancient biographies often sharpen a life into a teaching story, but the shape of it matters because it reveals something true about Zeno's transformation. He had lost material goods, and in the aftermath he became interested in a different kind of wealth, the kind no storm could carry away. Most people understand this only after a shock. Before the shock, we often build our identity around things that can be taken from us. Your reputation, your income, your relationship, your appearance, your plan, your place in a group. You may not say, "This is who I am," but your nervous system says it for you. When one of those things becomes uncertain, you do not merely feel inconvenience. You feel threatened at the level of self. That is why chaos feels so personal. A delayed message can become evidence that you are unwanted. A rejection email can become proof that you have failed. A harsh comment can become a trial in which you are both defendant and judge. The event happens outside you, but then the mind begins adding meanings. This should not be happening. I cannot handle this. This ruins everything. They have shown me what I am worth. Zeno's great contribution was not the claim that these events are pleasant. Stoicism never asks you to call loss a gift while you are still grieving it. Its deeper claim is that the event and your judgment about the event are not the same thing. Your first impression may arrive with force, but it does not have to become your final conviction. This was one of the foundations of Stoic psychology. Things appear to us. A person insults you. Your train is canceled. A doctor says more tests are needed. Your mind immediately produces an impression. Danger, humiliation, catastrophe. The Stoics did not deny that these impressions can be powerful. They understood that human beings are not stones. But they insisted that there is a space, however small, between what appears and what you endorse. That space is where freedom begins. Epictetus, who lived centuries after Zeno and became one of Stoicism's clearest teachers, opened his handbook with a distinction that still has the power to cut through confusion. Some things are up to us, he said, and some things are not. Our judgments, our aims, our choices, and our efforts belong on one side. Other people's opinions, the weather, the outcome of an application, the behavior of a difficult colleague, the body's vulnerability, and ultimately death belong on the other. This does not mean that nothing external matters. Health matters. Love matters. Security matters. Justice matters. The Stoics were not trying to make themselves numb to life. They were trying to place things in their proper rank. External conditions may be deeply valuable, but they cannot be the final measure of a good life, because they are never fully yours to command. For Zeno and the Stoics who followed him, the only thing that is truly good without qualification is virtue, the quality of your character expressed through reasoned action. Courage, when courage is required. Justice, when justice is inconvenient. Self-control, when impulse is loud. Wisdom, when appearances are deceptive. A person with these qualities may suffer losses, but they have not lost the part of themselves that makes life worth living. This can sound severe at first, perhaps even cold. If virtue is the true good, does that mean grief does not matter? Does it mean betrayal should not hurt? Does it mean you should accept mistreatment with a blank face and say, "Nothing can harm me"? No. Stoicism is often misunderstood because people confuse emotional discipline with emotional absence. The Stoics did not advise you to become less human. They advised you to become less enslaved by unexamined reactions. There is a difference between feeling anger and being ruled by anger, between mourning a loss and deciding that life is now meaningless, between wanting justice and allowing revenge to deform your character. Zeno's own early training helps explain this. After arriving in Athens, he studied with Crates, the Cynic philosopher known for his radical rejection of social convention and luxury. The Cynics challenged the false needs people create through status, possessions, and public approval. Their bluntness taught Zeno something essential. Freedom requires independence from the crowd's applause. But Zeno did not remain a cynic. He studied with other teachers as well, including thinkers associated with the Megarian and academic traditions. He was too intellectually serious to stop at contempt for comfort or convention. The life he eventually developed was not a retreat from society. It was a philosophy for living responsibly within it. Around 300 years before the Common Era, Zeno began teaching in Athens at the Painted Stoa, a public colonnade decorated with historical and mythological scenes. It was not an enclosed school for a privileged few. It was a public place, part of the life of the city. Because Zeno taught there, his followers became known as Stoics, from the Greek word stoa, meaning porch or colonnade. There is something fitting about that origin. Stoicism was born in a public space, not behind a locked door. It was meant for streets, courts, marketplaces, households, arguments, losses, duties, and decisions. It was not designed for people who could escape the mess of human life. It was designed for people who had to walk through it. Zeno's Stoicism had three great areas of study: logic, physics, and ethics. To modern ears, that may sound like an academic system, far removed from the ordinary struggle to stay calm on a difficult Tuesday. But the three were connected. Logic helped you think clearly rather than be deceived by appearances. Physics, in the ancient sense, helped you understand nature and your place within a larger whole. Ethics taught you how to live well through your choices. The Stoics often compared philosophy to a living organism. Logic was like the bones and sinews, providing structure. Physics was like the soul, giving life and coherence. Ethics was like the fruit, the visible result of a well-ordered life. You cannot separate them completely. If your thoughts are confused, your actions will be confused. If you see yourself as isolated from everyone else, your ethics will shrink into self-interest. If you do not know what matters, no amount of technique will make you steady. This is why Zeno's philosophy is more demanding than the popular version of Stoicism that circulates online. Stoicism is not a collection of sharp quotations used to endure bad meetings. It is not emotional armor. It is not a strategy for appearing unbothered. It is a discipline of seeing reality more accurately and choosing your actions more honorably. Consider what happens when someone criticizes you publicly. Perhaps a colleague dismisses your contribution in a meeting. Perhaps a friend makes a cutting remark that seems designed to lower your standing in the room. The immediate impulse may be to strike back. You feel heat in the chest, tension in the jaw, a desperate urge to defend the image of yourself that has been attacked. A Stoic response does not begin with pretending the insult was acceptable. It begins by separating the facts from the story. What exactly was said? Was it false, partly true, careless, malicious, or simply clumsy? What is within your control now? Your tone, your attention, whether you respond immediately, whether you examine the criticism for anything useful, whether you preserve your dignity without protecting your pride at all costs. This is not passivity. If the criticism is unjust, you may answer it directly. If someone is behaving abusively, you may set a boundary, document what happened, leave the situation, seek help, or take formal action. Stoicism does not require silent tolerance of injustice. Justice was one of its central virtues, but the Stoic question is always, can you act firmly without becoming what you oppose? That question becomes especially difficult when your emotions are justified. Anger often begins with a perception of wrong. Someone has lied. Someone has been careless. Someone has treated you as if your time, dignity, or loyalty did not matter. The problem is not that anger notices a wound. The problem is that anger quickly wants to become judge, jury, and executioner. Seneca, the Roman Stoic writer, devoted an entire work to anger. He saw it as a force that promises strength while stealing judgment. When angry, we feel unusually clear. We believe we finally see what must be done. Yet, what we often see is a narrowed version of reality, shaped by injury and urgency. Seneca urged delay, reflection, and a refusal to let the first surge dictate the next action. Zeno's original philosophy gives this advice a deeper foundation. Human beings, the Stoics argued, are capable of reason. That does not mean reason always wins automatically. It means we have the capacity to inspect an impression before surrendering to it. When anger says, "They have ruined everything," reason can ask, what exactly has been ruined? What remains possible? What response would I respect tomorrow? This is a practical exercise, not a decorative idea. The next time you receive a message that makes your stomach drop, do not answer from the first wave. Read it once. Put the phone down. Name the impression without obeying it. I am having the impression that I am being attacked. I am having the impression that this rejection defines me. I am having the impression that I must solve this immediately. That small change in language creates distance. You are no longer inside the reaction, as if it were the whole truth. You are observing it. And once you observe it, you can choose. Zeno's emphasis on nature is also often misunderstood. The Stoics said that we should live according to nature. This does not mean that whatever feels natural is good. Rage can feel natural. Avoidance can feel natural. Laziness can feel natural. The phrase meant living in accordance with the rational and social nature of human beings. We are creatures capable of reflection, and we are creatures bound to one another. This social dimension is crucial. Stoicism is sometimes portrayed as an individualistic philosophy, a solitary person building an inner fortress while the rest of humanity remains outside. But Zeno's vision was much wider. Later, accounts describe his ideal community as one in which people live as fellow citizens under a common moral law, rather than dividing themselves into hostile camps of us and them. The early Stoics believed that every human being participates in reason. That belief led them toward a form of cosmopolitanism, the idea that we belong not merely to a city or tribe, but to a larger human community. The details of ancient Stoic politics were not identical to modern ideas of equality or rights. We should not force them into categories they did not possess. Yet their moral direction was significant. The stranger is not outside the sphere of concern. The person of lower status is not made less human by that status. Your duties extend beyond the narrow circle of those who benefit you. For modern life, this means that Stoic resilience is not self-absorption. You do not become stronger merely to protect your own comfort. You become stronger so that fear, envy, resentment, and the hunger for approval do not prevent you from doing your part. Think about the way comparison poisons so much of ordinary life. You see someone else's promotion, relationship, house, body, audience, confidence, or apparent ease. A quiet dissatisfaction begins to spread. You may still be grateful for what you have, but the comparison makes it feel smaller. Their success becomes evidence against you. The Stoics would ask a sharp question: what good are you actually seeking in this comparison? Is it admiration? Security? A sense that your life has counted? And is another person's visible achievement truly an obstacle to your own character? Usually, it is not. Another person's success may affect practical opportunities. It may reveal that you need to learn, prepare, or act with more courage. But it does not take away your ability to be honest, disciplined, generous, thoughtful, or brave. Those remain available, even on the days when the world seems to reward someone else. Epictetus repeatedly warned against tying your peace to things controlled by other people. If you need universal approval to feel secure, you have handed your stability to a crowd that cannot agree on anything for long. If you need your work to be praised before you can value the effort, you will be vulnerable to every indifferent response. This does not mean you should not want to do good work. Zeno was not teaching mediocrity. A Stoic can be ambitious, but their ambition is directed first toward excellence of action rather than guaranteed external reward. You prepare carefully. You speak honestly. You build skill. You fulfill your responsibilities. Then you meet the result without making it a verdict on your worth. There is enormous relief in that, though it may initially feel unfamiliar. Many people have been trained to believe that anxiety is evidence of seriousness. If you worry constantly, perhaps you care. If you rehearse every possible disaster, perhaps you are being responsible. But worry often disguises itself as preparation, after preparation is no longer possible. A Stoic does prepare. Zeno was a merchant before he was a philosopher. He would have understood the need to plan, calculate, and act prudently. But planning has a boundary. Once you have done what reason requires, continued mental agitation does not improve the outcome. It only consumes the strength you may need when the outcome arrives. This is especially important when you are waiting. Waiting for medical results, waiting to hear whether you got the job, waiting for someone to decide whether they want to remain in your life, waiting for a financial situation to become clear. These periods can feel unbearable because the mind tries to live in an imagined future while the body remains in the present. The Stoic practice is to return to the present responsibility, not because the future does not matter, but because it cannot be lived from where you are standing. What is yours today? Perhaps it is to make the call you have been avoiding. Perhaps it is to rest properly, rather than punishing yourself with endless speculation. Perhaps it is to be kind to the people around you instead of making them carry the weight of your uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself centuries after Zeno, returned again and again to this point. He reminded himself that the present is the only portion of time in which action is possible. The past cannot be altered. The future is not yet available, but this moment contains a choice to meet what is here with clarity, justice, courage, and self-command. Marcus was an emperor, but his private notes reveal a man struggling with irritation, fatigue, loss, political pressure, and mortality. His Stoicism was not a posture of effortless calm. It was a repeated return to principle. He had to remind himself, as you do, that other people's behavior is theirs, while his response is his own work. That is one reason Zeno's legacy endures. Stoicism is not built on the fantasy that wise people never become distressed. It is built on the conviction that you can practice returning. You can lose your balance and return. You can be pulled into resentment and return. You can become frightened, distracted, vain, exhausted, and return. Character is not a mood you maintain perfectly. It is a direction you repeatedly choose. Cleanthes, who succeeded Zeno as the head of the Stoic school, embodied this patient kind of commitment. Ancient accounts say that he worked at night, drawing water to support himself while studying philosophy by day. Whether every story has been embellished, the tradition remembered him as a man of unusual endurance, not because he was naturally protected from hardship, but because he could bear effort without abandoning his purpose. His famous hymn to Zeus expresses an attitude central to Stoicism, a willingness to cooperate with reality rather than be dragged through it in bitter resistance. This does not mean approving of every event. No decent person approves of cruelty, illness, or unnecessary loss. It means recognizing that reality does not become more reasonable because we refuse to acknowledge it. Resistance has its place. If an injustice can be confronted, confront it. If a mistake can be corrected, correct it. If a relationship can be repaired through honesty, try. But there is a point at which resistance becomes denial. You keep arguing with what has already happened. You keep demanding that another person becomes someone they have shown they are not. You keep treating the past as if it were still waiting for your approval. At that point, acceptance is not surrender. It is the beginning of effective action. Suppose someone betrays your trust. They lie, conceal something important, or abandon you when you needed them. You may feel compelled to replay every conversation, searching for the moment when you should have known. You may want an explanation so complete that it closes the wound. Yet explanations are not always available, and even when they are, they may not satisfy the part of you that wants the past undone. A Stoic approach does not ask you to excuse betrayal. It asks you to stop making your peace dependent on the betrayer's conscience. Their choice reveals something about them. Your next choice reveals something about you. You can grieve. You can confront. You can withdraw access. You can learn what you ignored. But you do not need to keep offering your mind as a courtroom in which the same case is tried every night. The same is true of failure. A failed project, a lost opportunity, an exam you did not pass, a business that did not work, a creative effort met with silence. These can hurt because they threaten not only a goal, but an identity. You thought you were the person who would succeed at this. Now you have evidence that the world did not confirm the story. Zeno's shipwreck offers a different way to see the moment. The loss of one path does not prove that your life has lost all direction. It may reveal that you had confused your plan with your purpose. Plans are necessary, but they are provisional. Purpose is deeper. It is the way you choose to move through whatever conditions arrive. A person whose purpose is only to receive a particular outcome will be shattered whenever fortune refuses. A person whose purpose includes acting with courage, learning honestly, serving well, and preserving character can be disappointed without becoming destroyed. The disappointment remains real, but it no longer has the authority to define the whole of life. Musonius Rufus, another Roman Stoic teacher, emphasized that philosophy should be practiced in ordinary conduct. He spoke about food, marriage, work, hardship, and the discipline of daily life. His point was simple. Wisdom is not proven by how beautifully you speak about virtue. It is proven by how you behave when discomfort interrupts your preferences. This matters when motivation disappears. Many people wait to feel ready before they act. They wait for confidence before making the difficult call, for inspiration before beginning the work, for certainty before taking responsibility. But motivation is unstable. It rises and falls with sleep, weather, praise, fear, and the last thing that happened to you. Stoic discipline begins where mood loses authority. You do not need to feel heroic to do the next honorable thing. You need only identify what is required and begin. Send the application. Apologize without adding excuses. Go for the walk you promised yourself. Turn off the distraction. Return to the work. Speak with respect even when you are tired. This is not harsh self-punishment. The Stoics did not value suffering for its own sake. They valued training because they knew that untrained desire makes a person easy to manipulate. If you cannot endure a little discomfort, you may become dependent on convenience. If you cannot tolerate boredom, every screen can command you. If you cannot bear the possibility of disapproval, anyone can control you by withholding praise. Zeno's philosophy asks you to look at your desires with unusual honesty. What do you believe you must have in order to be okay? Is it comfort? Recognition? Romance? Control? Constant reassurance? None of these desires makes you weak by itself. They become dangerous when you decide you cannot live well without their immediate satisfaction. The Stoics called many external things preferred indifference, a phrase that can sound absurd until you understand it. Health is generally preferred to illness. Financial security is generally preferred to poverty. Friendship is preferred to isolation. These things are worth pursuing when it is honorable to do so, but they are called indifferent in relation to virtue because possessing them does not automatically make you good, and losing them does not automatically make you bad. A wealthy person can be cowardly and unjust. A sick person can be wise and generous. A famous person can be ruled by vanity. An unknown person can possess extraordinary integrity. The Stoics were trying to rescue moral worth from the unpredictable distribution of fortune. That insight is urgently useful when life makes you feel behind. Perhaps your friends seem settled while your future remains unclear. Perhaps you are caring for a family member, rebuilding after a loss, or living with limitations others do not see. Perhaps you have done the responsible things and still find yourself facing outcomes you did not deserve. Your life cannot be measured fairly by a scoreboard that records only visible results. The deeper measure is what you are making of the conditions you have been given. Are you becoming more truthful or more evasive? More capable of patience or more dependent on resentment? More willing to act where action is possible, or more trapped in complaints about what cannot be changed? This is where Stoicism can feel both demanding and merciful. It demands responsibility for your judgments and choices. You cannot endlessly blame circumstances for the person you are becoming, but it is merciful because it does not demand mastery over the uncontrollable. You are not required to guarantee the outcome. You are required to bring your best reason and character to the part that belongs to you. The founder of this philosophy likely knew what it meant to lose the security of possessions. Yet his answer was not to despise all possessions. It was to stop treating them as the anchor of the self. The anchor had to be placed deeper. There's an ancient report that Zeno, said he, prospered when he was shipwrecked. The exact wording and context have reached us through later sources, so it is best not to turn it into a polished slogan. But the thought behind it is unmistakably Stoic. A loss may strip away what you relied on. It may also expose capacities you never had reason to develop while life was easy. That possibility should not be used to romanticize suffering. Some losses are simply painful. Some wounds take years to heal. Some circumstances require practical help, medical care, community support, and time. Stoicism is not an argument against asking for help. A philosophy of human interdependence cannot honestly be one. But even in hardship, there is a question no one else can answer for you. What will I do with this moment? Not, why did this happen to me? Though that question may arise. Not, how can I guarantee that I never feel this again? Often you cannot. The more useful question is, what quality of person will I practice being now? If you are afraid, perhaps courage. If you are tempted to retaliate, perhaps justice. If you are pulled toward despair, perhaps endurance. If you are surrounded by noise and pressure, perhaps clarity. Virtue is not a badge earned once. It is the shape of a choice made under conditions that test it. This is why Stoicism has survived far beyond the painted porch of Athens. It speaks to the person who cannot control the diagnosis, but can control whether they meet others with bitterness or honesty. It speaks to the person whose work is overlooked, but who can still do it well. It speaks to the person who has been misunderstood, but refuses to become cruel in response. It speaks to anyone who has learned that external stability can disappear faster than expected. And it also speaks to the smaller chaos of an ordinary day. The traffic jam, the missed deadline, the difficult parent, the unanswered text, the temptation to delay what matters because the task feels unpleasant. Philosophy becomes real there, not when you quote it, but when you use it to interrupt one automatic reaction. You can begin with a simple practice today. When something unsettles you, pause before naming it good or bad. State the event plainly. The meeting went poorly. They did not respond. I made a mistake. This outcome is uncertain. Then ask 2 questions. What is in my control now? What would a wise, just, courageous, and self-controlled response look like here? Do not expect the answer to remove emotion instantly. It may not. The purpose is not to become untouched. The purpose is to remain capable of choosing while emotion passes through you. With repetition, that pause becomes stronger. It becomes a place you can stand. Zeno began with a wrecked ship and ended by giving generations a way to survive the wreckage of expectation. He taught in a public porch because life itself is public, unpredictable, and shared. There will always be forces beyond your command. There will always be things you prefer but cannot secure. There will always be moments when the outer world asks more of you than you feel ready to give. But there is also something that remains yours. The judgment you examine, the action you choose, the character you form. If this reflection has given you a steadier place to stand, you can continue that work here with Stoic against chaos. Today, when the next disruption arrives, do not ask it to spare you. Ask what in you it cannot take. Zeno's ship went down, but his inner compass did not.